With Jim Carrey and Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Today, we have some brand new scenes and take you on the set to reveal just how huge this movie really is. It's Jim Carrey's wild sleigh ride in his new movie, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And check out Carrey performing one of the story's most famous tunes.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel.
And wait until you see the massive amount of work that went into the movie. The partly rubber face that allows for Carrey's wild expressions took 3 hours to put on every day. And then there's the set of Whoville. At 30,000 square feet, it's the largest set ever built at Universal Studios in Hollywood. While the sets are impressive, director Ron Howard says the true star is, of course, Jim Carrey, who does a pretty funny take on Howard in the movie.
Action! Brilliant!
We got a genius bringing the Grinch to life, and Jim Carrey is doing, you know, incredible work.
Why didn't I think of that? Cut, tread, check the gate, moving on.
Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas opens nationwide November 17th.
You're a mean one.
Very grumpy Mr. Grinch. But today it's another imitation that has Grinch director Ron Howard in stitches.
All right. You're a reindeer. Here's your motivation.
I had some fun with Ron. You know, Ron's an interesting character. He got a costume.
Brilliant!
What did he say on the set when you started doing
Oh,
that?
he was laughing. He loved it.
He did?
He loved it, yeah.
But then he said, this has got to
He
go
loves
in.
himself. He's totally full of himself.
If imitation is the sincerest form of flattery,
Action!
then director Ron Howard must be over the moon.
Your name is Rudolph. You're a freak with a red nose, and nobody likes you.
That's one of my favorite scenes. That was written, but, you know, the baseball cap was kind of a surprise, and I didn't realize quite how close he was going to get in terms of some of the hand gestures.
And while Jim was surprising Ron, the director hatched a plan of his own.
One day at 3:30 in the morning, I showed up at the makeup trailer and told them to put the Grinch makeup on me. And I totally shocked Jim. He had no idea. He said, you know, if this is a Grinch double, I'm sure he was thinking this guy's 5 inches too short. Then he heard my voice, and he gave me a huge hug, and he just got the biggest kick out of the fact that I did it.
Jim says he spent up to 14 hours a day in his rubber makeup and furry costume, and that, at first, it was agonizing.
It was tough for a while there, but, you know, when they say action, something takes over, and also the whole time in my head, I knew that we were doing something special and that this is, you know, something that's worth the pain.
Cut, tread, check the gate, moving on.
Oh, he's good. Well, it took actually 8 script revisions of The Grinch before the widow of the late Dr. Seuss gave her thumbs up. How the Grinch Stole Christmas leads into theaters November the 17th. Meantime, the book, How the Grinch Stole Hollywood, is in stores right now. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Access Hollywood. I'm Nancy O'Dell, who, of course, that would be my official name here on the set of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, the only thing more remarkable than the movie itself, and of course the sets, would be how it went from book to movie. How the Grinch Stole Hollywood is today's inside story.
She was very careful. She was very careful, and rightfully so.
She's not intimidated by Hollywood. She's really smart and in your face, and she's not going to be pushed around.
She's 79-year-old Audrey Geisel, widow of Seussian author Theodore Geisel. And the only way the Grinch reached the big screen was through her. But it was a very long time in coming. The actual book was written 43 years ago. The studio bidding, or should we say begging war, began just 5 years ago.
I remember being in the meeting, and I could see that she didn't want to do it with me. I could see it and feel it. And I just begged my way into this second meeting, which, of course, producers are very good at, you know, the begging process.
But it still took 8 script rewrites before Geisel gave Grazer the green light. And let's face it, she's tough. Pat learned just how tough at the film's Hollywood premiere.
Why so many drafts to get it right?
Because things had to be removed.
Like what?
I'm not going to tell you.
But we can tell you that it wasn't completely over yet. Producers still needed Carrey's magic touch to seal the final deal.
Now, you actually had to audition in front of Dr. Seuss's widow.
Yeah, Yeah.
What was that like? What was
It was wonderful. She's a sweet lady, really sweet.
He had a hand on each shoulder, and then he looked at me. And his whole face changed. And he grinched me.
And one of the best performances in the movie comes from a dog named Kelly. Give me 5, Kelly. Who plays the Grinch's faithful companion, Max, in the movie. Kelly actually comes from a shelter near Hollywood, and we decided we're going to give her 2 balls up for her performance. You go, girl. All right, well, you can see this big star in The Grinch this weekend, as well as other big stars and other big movies, and Pat has that story. Tell him, Kelly.
Hey, Nancy, that dog wouldn't talk to me. Good job. So he...
You know, I'll correct them and say no. Bond, James Bond.
Dr. Seuss's Grumpy Green Monster got the royal treatment today, courtesy of Jim Carrey, who arrived hand in hand with girlfriend Renee Zellweger. London officially turned into Whoville for the British premiere of The Grinch, which was fitting for a queen.
Pitch some tents. Let's have a concert.
I've had world premieres, but never for the Queen. I'm so thrilled. I can't even tell you.
It's an honor to be able to make a sort of a holiday movie like this that warrants this sort of very respectful attention, and we're hoping everybody enjoys it, including Her Majesty the Queen.
Dr. Seuss's The Grinch Who Stole Christmas sleds into theaters Friday. Well, Jim Carrey is the mean green money-making machine at the box office right now, playing The Grinch. And now we have some insight into just how tough it was for Jim to pull this one off. Bravo profiles the actor's makeup madness and the role that almost drove him to the brink.
One day, Jim literally couldn't take it and was like literally tearing the makeup, you know, off his face.
The second the word cut, the guy was like,
Well, the torture was clearly worth it. But on Bravo Profiles Jim Carrey, director Ron Howard now reveals that producer Brian Grazer enlisted an expert to help their Grinch cope with the agony of the outfit.
He recruited a guy who trains Navy SEALs
how to survive torture.
That training taught Jim how to separate mind from body to get the job done. But still, these oversized lenses nearly did Jim in.
There were days when we couldn't shoot because the doctors told us that, you know, he could damage his eyes if he wore the contact lenses anymore. I finally went to Jim and I said, well, I guess we could rethink the look. And he said, no. The contact lenses are, you know, they make the character.
But of course, it was a long road to the Grinch, and this profile starts at the beginning. Jim grew up in Ontario, Canada, where he started his stand-up career.
Thank you very much. My name is Jimmy Kyoto.
A rising young comedy star from Port Perry, Ontario.
But what I couldn't ignore as a club owner is at the end of this act, which I thought was kind of square, is that people were leaping up out of their seats and applauding.
I think I saw him on the hill the other day.
Carrying on to Hollywood, the rest is history, and you can catch it all on Bravo Profiles Jim Carrey next Monday night.
Right away.
Living color, too, huh?